Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of the Up Supercast Game Club. It is your boy, it's me, Brandon, your host, and I'm here today with my other Up Supercast Game Club members. I got Will.
Hello.
And I got Ills.
Yeah, what's up?
And I got Saf.
You're not Alexander.
And we got a full house today because we also got Noah. Very nice.
Good, I like that.
That was very good. Noah, you did a reference to a video game. I like that.
I did.
You did a reference to a video game we played this week here on the Game Club, which is none other than God Hand.
More like poop hand.
You will feel the power of my God hand.
Don't start.
Shit hand.
So we played God Hand, which is a video game that was released on the PlayStation 2. It's an beat-em-up type style game, developed by Clover Studios and published by Capcom. 3 in a row, Capcom. Thank you very much, by the way.
Well, before in a row.
Will not be... Oh, okay.
Oh.
Spoiler alert.
Spoilers.
Wow. There's people out there that were waiting until the end of the episode to see if it was 4 in a row. They're already turning it off.
I'm so sorry.
The streak is over.
So, Will, you picked God Hand for us to play.
What's up, brother?
Yeah. Why don't you tell
I
us
did.
a little bit about God Hand and a little bit about why you picked God Hand?
Okay. So God Hand is a game, like you said, made by Clover Studio in that era where Capcom as a whole was just trying a bunch of new things. Devil May Cry happened around the same time. Just all manner of stuff. And God Hand is the oft forgotten, oft maligned sort of redhead stepchild a little bit of that group. Famously got the 3 out of 10 from IGN. But since then has picked up a audience of people that are like, hey man, if you get past the rough parts, there's a really good game here. And so I thought those are the type of games that are good for the game club because A, they are good for discussion because some of us, I think, as we're going to find out, were cool with getting past some of those weird things. Some of us thought, hey, this is just simply the things are too bad to look past. But I think we all beat it, which is second in a row. So that's exciting. But
Yeah, man. I can't... We're setting records here. Ills, you inspired us all.
Well, I'm happy to help. I mean, I threw the gauntlet down for Saf to make sure, he actually gave it a shot, even though he played on easy mode, but, at least he beat it.
I'm sorry I don't have functioning hands.
But God Hand is a beat 'em up, like Brandon said. But it's behind the back, which leads to some positives and some negatives.
No
being
positives.
behind the back, there are a couple, but it is, there's not really a defined combos. The thing you pick up primarily as your progression throughout the game is more moves that you can string together. So you can start off with a lead off, then feed into different moves that can lead to different types of combos. Different moves have different types of applications. As the game progresses, you unlock new special moves using the titular God Hand. And the game has both like a defined difficulty level of easy and normal in America, normal and hard in Japan. In America, they renamed them, which I think led to a lot of confusion on what was the thing you should be playing on.
Oh boy, what a thing.
What a mistake. Why would you do that? But I think 'cause maybe they thought people would be scared of the word hard, even though the difficulty is not any different. But the game also has dynamic difficulty scaling. So as you're going, depending on if you do better or worse, the game will tell you difficulty up, difficulty down. And if you're doing difficulties up...
See, I found that mechanic very interesting. So it adjusts to your play style. If
Yes.
you're not getting, if you're doing really well and beating up bad guys, it'll up the difficulty a little bit, so they're a little bit more aggressive and slightly faster. I think that's a good, it keeps things challenging within the game.
And you're more likely to get drops with new moves and stuff with the higher difficulties.
I disagree with that, but...
I actually agreed that that's a cool system, and it's unique, and, it's cool that they added it. But the thing that happens when the difficulty goes up, like the way they attack you, that's a major problem for me. I'm sure Brandon has more to say on that.
Well, I mean, the difficulty thing, I think my biggest problem with it is that its biggest flaw is if you find yourself getting frustrated, you start doing shitty on purpose so that the level goes down, which is a thing that's kind of dumb. Like, to me, difficulty should be set. If you want an easy ride, you're going to pick easy or normal. You don't want it to start getting harder than you're learning the game, but the game's getting harder as you're learning. So is it it can get a little frustrating. because you want the game to you want to feel that you're getting better at the game, and it stays at the same difficulty. At least for me, personally.
No, I felt like it actually rewarded you a little bit. Not like it made you feel good that you were doing better, but then it kind of punished you at the same time. So I mean, I liked getting the level ups, but then I knew I was gonna fall back down pretty soon because the enemies were gonna beat the crap out of me.
Yeah, I just think it's dumb because there was a couple times where I'd be like, "Oh shit, I'm level 3 walking into this area. Well, time for me to get hit a few times to try to get it leveled down."
Oh no, I never did it on purpose. It just happened.
I did because I was like, "Well, this is gonna be dog shit if I don't."
I think the trade-off there, I think, is part of it is you can replay the previous levels, right? That's one thing is that and you can do that to grind because there's also a little hub area in between levels where there's a casino, there's Chihuahua race.
Levels?
I had no idea that you could replay the previous levels.
To them, I'm pretty sure. Yeah, I think you go back to them on the map.
I
replayed the first level multiple times to beat it at the highest one, and then I gave up. I was like, I'm done.
I don't remember ever seeing any.
No, I don't remember that at all. I'll take your word for it, but I didn't.
So
really think
for me, it was the idea that I'll do that way you can play through a level again and not have it be so repetitive. But in the moment of the first level, when you're playing through it the first time and you're sort of sometimes like Brandon said, you'll be like, man, I'm just getting my crap pushed in at this difficulty level. It's only a matter of time till I get knocked down. But I like that more than the Kid Icarus system where when you get the game over it gets knocked down. I think that it being in the reactive as you're playing makes it more smooth overall though. So I actually like that part of it.
It's definitely an interesting innovation, I think. I haven't seen any games that's done that before, and I thought it was pretty interesting.
Mm-hmm. There's also, I guess we mentioned there's the God Hand stuff. There's a super mode you can go into, right, where you do tons of damage really fast.
That's when you use your God Hand.
Yeah. That's the super mode. Yeah.
Yeah. And then there's also the roulettes. Yeah. Which is another thing.
The roulettes are the super attacks. They're they cost a resource, and then you have to get more of them.
They are fun to do. They are fun, really, really fun to pull off.
And there's a good number of them too, which I like. Yeah. Right. And there's
you can
they're not
as the game goes along. Yeah. But I found myself only using a select few of them throughout the game.
Yeah. I relied on Dragon Kick and Home Run mode the most when I played.
Home Run God was fun.
Home Run God.
Yeah.
I used the pitch a lot.
One too.
The pitch was really good for.
I those you can come up with so many different combos. With the Ball Buster, it will set you up for a pummel. It's not very damaging move, but it it sets you up for an instant stun.
Chain Yanker was way better than Ball Buster.
I used Chain Yanker a ton.
Chain Yanker I used exclusively on everyone. Bosses, enemies, anybody who got in my way got chain yanked.
I always saved the roulette for the home run bat. It was in the beginning I was using Ball Buster constantly to build on my meter and stuff, and then once I got the level 2s, I was like, oh, these are good. These do a lot of damage.
They're worth. It's worth because you can use one up, or it can cost 1 to 3 depending on which one you're using, right?
Yeah.
And so if saving up is actually worth it.
Because my place
like that.
Yeah, sorry. My playstyle was way different because with bosses, I would just focus more on damage, and that's why I would go for the highest damage roulette moves because they would chop down the boss's health, nobody's business.
Yeah, and when it goes as far as the techniques go, I always went for the quick moves, the jabs, the hooks, the straights, the uppercuts. So that way I'd be able to string a combo, and then later on when I unlocked the Mac Punch and the triple punch combos, I put them at the very beginning. Because as soon as you start attacking, the enemies start blocking, and then I would just use a guard breaker and then just combo the shit out of him and string all these combos unstoppable punches.
I really like those. I really liked also.
I like the mule kick too. That's good for jungling.
It is super good actually for that. And I really like when they add in.
I found that move was broken as hell.
I think that's something that's kind of cool about God Hand, whereas as you mentioned, the customization.
Yes, that's a very cool thing about that game. I agree 100%.
I'd say that's the coolest thing about the game.
Yeah, the customization is very cool. You just being able to get new moves and buy new moves from the shop and being able to set them in any way you want.
Yeah, it just gives you absolute freedom to swap any move anywhere in your combo or in any side attack move.
it's funny because it almost had like an RPG effect a little bit, right? Where like, because in RPG sometimes you'll like come across a boss and you'll get wiped and you'll be like, okay, I have to work around what this boss is weak to, or like change my strategy, right? With like a lot of bosses in character action games like this, you just sort of get better. But like, I mean, I'm sure we'll talk more about it, but like the Power Rangers boss, right? It's like the boss where there's just 5 people constantly coming at you. The camera's not designed well for like multi-people interactions. But like, I died a couple times and I was like, hold on, and I went into my menu and I re-changed a bunch of my roulette wheel things, and I re-changed a bunch of my combo stuff because I was really focused on dodging, right? Like before that. And like I was kind of there, but like I changed my moveset to be a lot of like things that kept my momentum as I attacked. So like the little dash kick that you do, that's like a slide that you slide and you get up and you just keep running, right? Yeah. And when I did that, like I beat it, not the first try after that, but the try after. And and that was when I was like, oh, like that was cool that by looking at the situation that gave in front of me and changing my combo to fit this type of encounter, it was noticeably easier, which was, I think, a neat thing that's pretty unique.
Yeah,
I really loved Brandon's strategy with the yes ma'am kablam move. Like the way he would constantly build up meter with that move was so good.
Yeah, there was this move called yes man kablam, and he would do like this very slow punch, like a straight punch.
Oh, you mean the one
like a joke punch?
Yeah, and if you connected with it, you would hear like a crowd cheering. And he would just like kind of stand back for a second and be like, yeah, I'm the best. Put his hands up, but it would take forever, and it was a terrible move on its own. But when you hit that move, it would just it would fill your meter up a ton. But when I realized that you were able to dodge and break the animation and just keep doing it in succession, I was like, oh, this move is so broken. So like I would go to a boss and I would just like wait for him to come to me, and I would, right as he was about to get to me, I would hit it and then just dodge, and then just hit it and dodge, and like after only like 3 or 4, I would get a full god hand from empty. And I would just like, I just kept cheesing that strategy, but it worked so well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so like that's the fun stuff about it.
So that's pretty awesome. And to the point that you constantly tinkered with your combo, try to find the balance between speed and power. Yeah, I found myself thinking of new strategies almost like immediately after I started playing the game. Like I would figure out that the enemies would start doing their blocking animation, so then I'd put a shield breaker like in the 4th move of my combo, because that's usually around when they started to block. So that way I'd already be in the guard breaking attack when they get to their block. Mm-hmm. So I started playing around with that almost immediately. And I think the game, that's one of the best things about this game, is that
definitely
it gives you all that kind of, freedom to put your combo up as any way you like to fit the situation.
Yes.
So since we're on gameplay, and we have a lot of things, we definitely have a lot of things to say about this game, especially in the style, in stuff like that, the writing and stuff. We'll get to that, but I want to stay on gameplay since we're here for a minute.
Oh boy.
We said our favorite things about the gameplay. We really talk though about the camera angles. We mentioned it. We glazed over it for a sec. But the camera angles are one of the worst things about this game. Going from one of the best to one of the worst. And this game, it stays locked behind you, the camera. So it's almost like a weird like tank control, because the left stick moves you. Left, right, up, back and forth, and you kind of have to like turn, like with left and right. Yeah. Yep. And the camera stays behind you the entire time.
Well, it doesn't, like, not all the time, because if you're in a corner, it doesn't always stay behind you. Like you can move, also, but it pretends that it does.
Right, and it also will. If there's a wall, the wall will disappear. That's guaranteed.
Which I mean, I guess I'm more fine with that. I think because. Sort of to also describe it, like you're always in the center of the screen too, right? Like that's part of it. Like that's like when he's turning, like he doesn't like move left or right on the screen. He's basically in the middle, which is why like you're basically running forward or back most of the time, right? Like you're never like just moving straight left or straight right, unless you're like, because he's always facing forward basically, right? Like Gene is.
Yeah, it's like kind of tanky. Like, because when you turn, you're just like, when you hit left or right, you don't, like, you can't move left or right. You turn your character, and then you can go forward or back. And then with the right stick is where all the dodging happens. So you flick it back to do like a backflip. You flick it left to like dodge quick left or right. And then if you flick forward, you do like a kind of like a duck.
Head dodge.
Move.
Go head dodge.
Duck dodge. Yeah.
Which I loved. I loved towards the end of the game, like I actually picked up on the duck dodge a whole lot. Because like early on, I do a lot of the backflip because it's the most like get away from the enemy type situation.
Yeah, it's duck and weave or something like that.
Yeah, but like when you start doing ducking and weaving and like do like a full combo, you're like, I feel like a cool guy. That's like the point of these games. I feel like a cool guy. I feel like a cool guy right now.
It's just as it's just a shame at how like this camera should not be positioned the way it is for this type of fighting game. Especially when you have enemies that can easily surround you, and there's no indication that they're going to attack you whatsoever.
Yeah, they have a little radar, and they have the radar in the upper right,
there are
right?
indications that they'll attack you. You can hear them like doing their sound effects, and you can see the radar they're heading towards you. But other than that,
The specific timing on the dodge is the hard part.
The problem that goes hand in hand with the camera is the lock-on system. And the fact that it doesn't really have a lock-on system, not one that you can control.
Yeah, no, it's sometimes switches to like between enemies as you're fighting, and like it'll soft lock to somebody else as you're trying to fight somebody else, just because they're about to attack you or something.
And that becomes
was annoying.
Super frustrating. Like that is the most frustrating thing in the game, basically.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it really does, mess you up a lot when there's multiple enemies, and it, you'll be trying to like somebody will get like in a state where you can pummel them. They'll be like like dazed and you can pummel them, but somebody will step in the way, and you'll just lock onto them instead. But you're like, no, like I'm trying to, like I would be able to kill this dude, and then next thing you know, same dude you could have killed has picked up a fucking 2x4 and is whacking you with it from behind.
It's great.
Like, it seems so like weird in the day and age of this game that they didn't just add a lock-on system like a game like Ocarina of Time, which only had a single analog stick. Like, I had no idea why they didn't just implement that. Instead of putting a taunt button on, R2 or whatever, why not give us a lock-on button? Like, that could have solved so many problems, and then you could just quick switched to another enemy when they were closer or farther away, or you needed to move in a certain direction.
Mm-hmm.
It really would have. You're not wrong.
I mean, it's hard because you said the tank controls, but like this game I should mention was like it was directed by Shinji Mikami, right? Like he who did the Resident Evil famously is his most well known work probably, but like. And so, like, he's sort of a man that lived in tank controls for a very long time. So, like, you can see his touch in this game in some very positive ways, right? You can, like, we'll get to it later, but, like, the voice acting and the story can oftentimes feel very early Resident Evil. But also, like, in some negative ways, such as, like, another person might have taken an approach to lock on that makes more sense. Like Ills was saying, like, just going with the Ocarina of Time. Being able to select your target is a pretty big thing to miss out on.
It really definitely. And I feel like it would have been just a really easy thing to implement. Yeah, that would have helped the games tremendously.
I feel like if they did that, if this game had a more amenable control scheme that worked with the player, I'd slot this in the camp of games that are tough but fair, like a Dark Souls game. But this game feels unfair at times. And I found myself saying things I hate this fucking game. Why am I playing this fucking game over and over? Like, this game is not good for that. Yeah. And, like, I know people love to defend this game and they love to shit on IGN for giving it a 3.0. But the thing that they criticized the most was their controls. And I don't have a problem saying the controls are a problem. Like, for that, I'll give IGN some credit. That's it. Yeah.
They were just way too harsh about it. Is the thing?
No, yeah, I wouldn't give the game a 3. Like maybe a 6 or a 6.5, something like that. Maybe a 7, but not not like that.
Yeah.
I mean, it's weird because like I remember like seeing a comment about like because I was watching some. This is a game that like if you don't want to play it, like look up combos on YouTube because people get insane. Right? There are people that like put tons of hours in this game and they're just like doing insane stuff. Like, oh my gosh, look at what they can do. But like someone was like.
Sorry. Yeah, there's always people who master a game, by going all the way in. Sorry.
Yeah. And this is one that's like fun to watch people that have mastered it. But like someone in the comments, like, this game is so weird because like there are parts of it that are clearly so bad, and it's not like a so bad it's good game. It's a game that is both simultaneously very good and also bad. Like, it's both things at the same time, and like we don't get those very often in video games. And so it's that thing where you both say like, you know what, like, I mean, like a 7, like, is a 7.5 is probably around where I would put this, but also I enjoyed it more than some games that I would give a higher score to, you know? Like, it's in that weird space that happens sometimes.
I did find myself multiple times saying I love this game, and then also, you know, in the same like 10-minute span saying I fucking hate this game.
Yeah.
No, even
It
as
does require
Sorry,
you
go
to
ahead.
get around like the camera problem. It does require you to like position yourself a lot more than you should. But yeah,
I like
But
even though I really got angry at this game like a lot, like even everybody in the chat knows could read like my fucking paragraphs of screeds and shit, like because I went off on this game. But even though I did that, I found myself wanting to play it, wanting to continue every time, you know. So that's
yeah. It
I mean,
has like a really big charm to it where it just draws you in. You want to keep playing. You want to finish it.
yeah, I wanted to get better. It's not a boring game.
No.
It's a fun game to play when you can do it right and when you don't feel like the game is, you know, unfair to you.
And unfair, like during the final boss, which was unfair to me like 58 times, and Noah saw it every fucking time.
I saw it.
He
Which
was
phase
like
of it?
the final one.
The final.
The big guy?
I literally got through.
Yeah.
I literally got through the first one without dying once. I did it on my first try. Beat the shit out of that guy. Got to that final dude, and just every single possible thing that could have gone wrong did.
Oh, no.
Like
Really?
He
multiple
missed
times.
his roulette wheel because the demon had jumped. Every time the demons came out and dropped an item, it was a cherry.
Yeah, every
That's
single
very
time.
funny.
Damn.
See, like, that's hilarious, because, like, I mean, to me, like, I never went below 88% HP on that final phase. Like, the part right before it where you're doing, like, the duel with him, I, like, struggled with, but, like, I had full God Hand for the final phase, and you just, and, like, I don't know
They
if
give you full God Hand and
They
full
fill you
roulette
up,
wheels
yeah.
and everything.
Final phase.
And but the thing was, I literally like had him to the point where if I hit him with the last the final thing the move they give you on purpose
Yeah.
would have killed him. I used it. He fucking moves at the same time, and he
He
completely
lost a lot of
misses.
God Hand time as well because every time he activated,
Every time I
it was
use
supposed to
God
be like,
Hand,
"Whoop."
he'd do that move where he slams his fist into the ground. So I'm attacking his fist instead of him, so I can't put him into pummel.
See,
And like 4 or 5 times in a row. I was like, "Are you fucking kidding me?"
because the thing is, they have him timed that if you hit his head, he as soon as you're out of God Hand, he goes into pummel state. So I thought it was supposed to be like, hey, you beat the hard part. This is like a victory lap, sort of. Was like the way that I took it. Obviously, very different for you.
And then one time the demons show up, and usually when he spawns a demon, he like backs off and kind of like hovers, so you have to kill the demon first. You can't hit him.
Yeah.
He started throwing fireballs at me when I was fighting the demon. I was like, "What the fuck is happening, dude? This is not supposed to happen."
My
like
mind
this.
is being blown. Wow.
So I've watched.
And then all of a sudden he's summoning 2 demons at the same
Yeah.
time too. Which I didn't even know. Noah was like, "What do you mean?" I was like, "Dude, summoning 2 demons at once." He's like, "He doesn't do that." I'm like, "Look at my screen. He does that shit."
I've seen a lot of tutorials about it. There's a lot of people that recommend going through or easy mode first so that you can actually get used to it because the game doesn't actually explain
Well,
much
I mean,
of its controls to you.
No, it kind of.
Yeah.
Is this where we
Yeah,
mentioned the
to figure
problem?
out with the 2 tutorials
Like,
here and there.
Sorry, go
But
on.
like, yeah, like in the beginning, it was like I didn't really know what was going on. I was just beating up people, and then it explained like God Hand to God Hand mode, and then demons coming out of guys. I was like, oh, okay, so like the first couple of minutes, so like they kind of like just throw you in there, like okay, have fun,
Yeah.
kind of thing. But you get to figure out things as you go along.
Yeah, I mean, this
like,
isn't the first time Platinum's done this either.
no.
No.
They like to, and Metal Gear Solid Revengeance is my favorite example
Well,
of
This game came
Platinum
out before
being-
that.
Well, yeah, you're right. But it's my favorite example. So Platinum didn't learn their lesson, I guess, is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
Because that game also does a similar thing where they're like, "Oh, here, we'll show you how to play the game," but they don't really.
Yeah.
They kind of are like, "Here's how to play the game," and then they're like, "Wink." You're like, "What the fuck? What do you mean?" And then you literally have to like find out on your own that there's actually a way different way to actually play that game.
They don't explain how counters work. In the like second boss of the game relies upon you knowing how counters work.
In Revengeance, yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Wonderful 101 is another one.
Yeah.
It's like they don't even give you the dodge or like the block buttons. You need to buy that shit.
Yeah. They just expect you to kind of figure things out on your own.
Things out,
Which is, I guess, fine.
Which is kind of cool, but if it's mandatory to play in the game, they should at least hint it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't like that. I genuinely don't like that. I would prefer it to be explained to me.
Yeah.
Well, it's fine. Like, people always use the thing like, "Oh, well, back in the day they didn't explain things." Well, back in the day I got a 50-page instruction book when I got a game. Now I don't. I get a fucking free Xbox Live 24-hour code. Like, so you better explain the damn game to me.
Yeah.
I also found myself, like, in the beginning, like, I struggled a lot more. Like, in the second world and third world.
Yeah.
Like, I was, like, starting, like, where the enemies started to get tougher, but I was still in the learning phase. I was like, it was getting real difficult. But right after the third stage, I was just flying through this game.
Yeah.
Like, I
Seriously?
learned all its tricks. I learned its patterns. I know how enemies act now. I was like, okay, I'm taking you fuckers down.
Yeah, mine was like
At
stage
last.
4.
Yeah, I think after 4.
Yeah.
After 4, it was like a fucking, it was like a snowball effect. It was just like stage 5, stage 6, stage 7,
Exactly.
stage 8. You just killed it.
Yeah.
It was like nothing. But yeah, you don't hit that learning curve until like stage 3 or 4, and then after that, it's kind of like, okay, I got this now.
Because stage 4 is a travesty.
You start learning. Yeah, you learn to deal with the bullshit. Is what it is.
Yeah, and I mean, and you start putting stuff together too, right? I mean, like you learn to deal with like with cheesing it, because there are some parts where you just cheese, right?
Yeah.
But you also like, at least for me, that was when like I started to do like the duck, like I mentioned. It was when I started to like have enough moves available to like try different things, like basically every encounter, and like have it work out. And I wanted to mention that when we were talking about the gameplay, like I actually really like, because there's like over 100 moves in this game. You're not going to get all of them in a playthrough, right? You're probably going to get around like 30 or 40, right? But like, but there's a good variety to it. Like there's just like normal jabs, there's normal stuff. There's like capoeira type stuff where you're like, getting on the ground and like doing breakdance moves essentially, like with your legs while you're fighting. There's like drunken fist stuff, and I think that trying all that stuff out, like, is once you, the snowball effect comes like both gameplay wise and skill level wise, I think, like for players.
Yeah. I preferred a lot of the kick moves. I mean, I didn't use them all the time, but I wanted to, like, initially I wanted to make a combo of all kicks, but I would have got messed up if I tried that.
So we've talked a lot about the gameplay, but I think my favorite thing about this game is not the gameplay at all, actually. It's just about everything else.
Really?
Yeah. The gameplay can be frustrating. It's kind of cool, like what we said. I love the combo thing, the customization. But everything else about this game, if I can just explain it, like I just say, this game is fucking something else.
It is something else.
It does not take itself seriously.
It's super
at
campy.
all.
Which is funny.
It feels as though it's lazily written. Like it's like.
Well, no, it's
What?
no.
Well, it's like
It's
a
going
B,
for a
so
joke.
it's like a grindhouse movie, like
Yeah.
a B movie, especially grindhouse. If you get to the end credits, it's like it's straight out of grindhouse. It's very B movie. It doesn't take itself serious at all.
That's for sure.
It
There's a
focused
big
heavily
fat
on,
man that chomps a
dumb
cigar and his
humor.
name's Elvis.
Yeah. It's like it focuses heavily on dumb humor. All the characters are just fucking amazing. I love them all.
You fight a luchador gorilla at some point.
Oh, he's sick.
That
He has a
was
belt with
kinda funny.
bananas on it. It's very good. Which is funny.
Like we
'cause-
said, you fight a bunch of Power Ranger, like a Power Ranger little people.
Like
you
a
know?
squad.
it was,
The Card Squad. I don't remember. Yeah.
yeah.
Sorry.
I looked up an interview at E3 really fast, and like when the game was coming out or after, they like talked about it right when Clover shut down about God Hand, and they said originally it wasn't going to be funny. It was going to be a serious game, but they included like 2 bits where there was a joke in their E3 trailer, and people responded the most to those jokes, and they said okay, and they basically rewrote the whole game, rewrote the whole story to be way more humorous.
Sounds like a Conker's Bad Fur Day situation, but
A little bit, yeah. Because it's, I mean, like
they
if you,
did.
like the God Hand stuff is like very Fist of the North Star type, and like the general environment can be that way.
Yeah.
But they sort of like went like, okay, let's play up the silliness of all this, you know?
Yeah, it's like one of my favorite cutscenes in the game, just an example of the humor this game has, is you know, the dude walks into the oh my god, I can't remember his name. Main character, Gene. He was started with a J. So Gene walks into a room looking for his the girl he's been protecting this whole game, and she's nowhere to be found. And some bad guys bust into the room. So he's like, all right, I gotta take these guys out. He punches one, guy goes fucking sailing out the window. And it's just a little ding, like Team Rocket blasting off again. You know, the other guy tries to come up behind him, he dodges, hits this guy, sailing out the same window. Other guy comes over from the other room, and Gene stops for a second, and he's just like, hold up. He kind of like points, and the guy's like, oh, my bad. Walks in front of the window so that Gene can hit him.
He goes flying out.
Yeah, then he goes flying out.
That one was actually good, yeah.
It's good. It's funny. I like, you know, obviously stuff like that. The game doesn't take itself serious. There's just moments that you look at and you're like, what the hell am I playing?
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Especially
Setting and tone wise, I feel like this game fits perfectly in the Devil May Cry and Bayonetta series. Kind of has like a similar, you know, humorous, you know, atmosphere, but also with the devil, you know, evil, you know, world god versus devil kind of aesthetic.
Yeah. Well, the
But
whole
at
thing,
the same time,
kind of
they-
makes sense.
Yeah.
Because you know, Clover becomes Platinum. You know, goes on to make Bayonetta, and also this team was, you know, built around a lot of the same people who made Resident Evil 4.
And Devil May
also
Cry,
made
yeah.
Devil May Cry. So,
Yeah.
You know, it makes a lot of sense.
I think like in Clover's two other games at the time were Okami and Beautiful Joe. All three of the games sort of had the same. They had the idea for these three games within like a very basically like a couple meetings, right? And so like obviously Beautiful Joe and Okami have like you look at it and you're like, this game looks like nothing else out there right now, you know, like both those games.
Yeah.
And I think that like with God Hand, it was always the one that like looked a little bit more generic of the three, but when you get into it, it has as much personality as those games have, you know, like it's just a little bit more under the surface. I mean, like I mentioned, I love Elvis. I love just this weird fat man that is just constantly chomping a cigar, and like when you fight him, it's great. It's just
And all the voice acting was fucking top notch too. I loved it.
it's exactly as
Little
cheesy
but
as you
that's
want
what
it
it's
to be.
supposed to be.
It's very, very campy.
Yeah.
Like at the end where he's like, this is the power of my God hand, and he's like throwing like auras at the final boss, and you're like, this is exactly as dumb and cheesy as I want. And I think like the soundtrack does a good job of adding to that too.
Yeah. We mentioned, you know, how Beautiful Joe and Okami had their own, you know, unique style, and you look at them and you say that. And you look at God Hand and you say it might be generic. And what doesn't help it is its box art,
No.
which is terrible if you've ever seen it. It's just a dude with a mohawk and a giant fist with tribal tattoos all over it. Like, it is a terrible box art. And for the longest time, like, I knew God Hand was developed by Clover. I knew it was their last game. But I never bothered playing it. And I didn't remember leading up to it, like, seeing anything about it. So when it came and went, I always thought, oh, man, what did they just make? Like, you know, looking at the box art, it was all I had. I thought, they just make some, like, generic, like, you know, street-style beat-em-up game. That's all I thought. But, God, was I wrong. Pun intended, I guess.
And like, and I want to shout out the Masafumi Takada, who's the person who did the composing for this game, because like one, they did a bunch of other stuff, like they did all the Danganronpa games, they did No More Heroes 1 and 2, like, you know, if you look at their thing, but like when you hear it, you like can sort of get it, like when you think about the songs in this game, especially. Did you stick around for the credits?
No,
Oh, yeah.
duh. Come on, they were great.
Oh yeah.
They're great. The credits
One
are
of the
so
best
good and dumb. Like both just the end, like the black and white sort of like aesthetic of like Gene just punching a bunch of people while this guy is just singing about having the God Hand like over the credits. It's great. It's like I was like, yeah, this is good and dumb. Like for the last hour of that game when I was playing it, which is cool.
Yeah.
I definitely loved the music and the sound a lot. You know, even ranging from the enemies and you know the things they say when you run up to them and stuff. They said some funny stuff. And
Yeah.
A bunch of Mike Tyson quotes. All the enemies said a bunch of Mike Tyson quotes.
It is true.
They didn't say my favorite ones, but they said.
Oh, wow.
None of them mentioned the pigeons, which was, didn't quite happen yet.
None of them mentioned eating ass either. So.
Well, no, that's only if
only
you're playing
get
on the
so
secret
much.
ultra hard mode.
Okay. Damn. Well, I guess I'm never gonna do it because I definitely am not fucking doing that shit.
You have to reach level die.
No. No way. No, thank you. Oh man. But also, I gotta say too, one thing about this game, we said it kind of looks generic, but I also thought the graphics looked pretty damn good for PS2 era style games.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I like them for the most part, but some of the environments were really bland.
Yeah, I get it. And like I said, the clipping of everything, you go through the walls, but like the character models and stuff and the animations were cool. The characters dancing all the time, like the bad guys while they were waiting for you, watching them dance was really entertaining.
Yeah, because it was also, this was like really far into the PS2's lifespan was the thing.
It was, yeah. So this was probably, people were used to developing for the PS2. They made Okami already and Beautiful Joe.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I thought it looked pretty good. I played it on PS3. I bought it on the store there because it was re-released.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought it looked nice. It wasn't like, when you go back and play like a, you play an old game sometimes, and it's honestly, sometimes it's really off-putting, even especially early 3D games, like how bad they look.
You mean it didn't age that badly?
Yeah, it didn't age bad at all. It looks good.
Even compared to like Devil May Cry, right? If you go back to some of the older, like Devil May Cry 1 and 2, there are moments where you're like, what's happening here? Like the textures are so bad that like I sort of can't tell what's going on in the environment.
Well, nobody should ever go back to Devil May Cry 2.
Well, yeah, but like even like with the one when I did the HD collections and I went through all of them like in a row, like there were times where I was like, gosh, but like there was never a moment, partially maybe because of the camera with God Hand, where like you can see all the detail in the enemy models and like they're all pretty distinctive and like have designs to them, right? Like in a way that we don't get from a lot of games now. Like briefly, we've all been playing the Capcom Beat 'em Up bundle, except for Saf. Sorry, Saf. But like, when I was playing it, I thought like, man, I missed like just enemy designs in games. Just like them doing these sketch works for all these different things. And God Hand has that, right? Where like they're different enemy types, but they are all distinctive. They very rarely
unique enemies.
Oh my god!
Yeah.
Imagine you just mentioned the Beat 'em Up bundle. Imagine a 3D version of Battle Circuit.
Oh baby.
Oh god!
Wow! Sign me up.
Jeez.
Please sign me up. Oh man, Capcom, man, that's all we get. That's all we can talk about here on the Game Club.
Yeah, apparently.
It turns out.
Last month and a half. But yeah, so I love some of the enemy designs. Like there was this one dude who had a mohawk, and when you first run up to him, he'll be bald, and like a mohawk will pop out of his head, and he'll pull the mohawk off his head and chuck it at you.
Yeah, it becomes like a ninja star, right?
Yeah.
What an asshole.
I thought that was really funny.
Yeah.
I hated everybody who had a long range weapon in this game.
Yeah.
Anybody, all the girls with whips, I hated. Everybody.
Girls with whips, I tell you what, I hate them.
Oh, okay. I was wondering where that sentence was going to go. I'm happy you get into there.
No, I hate them. They're very frustrating because they would constantly hit you out of range. Like you wouldn't even see them off camera. It was like, come on.
Yeah.
Especially fighting that pimp guy at the end. Like I was like, the one girl with the whip was pissing me off.
Oh yeah.
I hated the guy before that, the fat guy with the two fat
he
guys
was the
flying
best.
at
Big
you.
old fat ninja boy.
He was the best. What do you mean?
I hate him.
Don't
Just
you,
wanted to be a ninja.
don't you like obese ninjas?
No.
It's very good.
Not when they just fucking somersault right into me from like halfway across the stage.
I also love in any character action game the duel, right? The like the Jetstream Sam or the like Umber Witch or the Jean fight, like for other games like that.
You
The
mean
one where
like-
it's like they have all the skills that we do, and I love that this game like basically ends on it, right? Like you fight the big dragon after, but like you're fighting a guy who's doing a bunch of other God Hand techniques. You're like he's dodging the way that you dodge. It's cool. I love that stuff.
Yeah, it's like your dark mirror image, basically. That happens a lot.
Yeah, I always
it
like it. I'm a mark for it. I love it.
You're Mike for overcoming your inner demons. Fighting against them.
All right, I think that's all we have to say on the game. I think, right?
Yeah, I mean,
Pretty much, yeah, we covered
Well, I
most of it.
mean, we'll see when it comes to the most important part of all.
Well, of course.
Yes. So before we get to that, I just want to go through the recommendations.
Uh-huh.
This is very important. People rely on us to know if we should,
Do they,
we say
though?
a lot about video games, but then, I'm sure there's people who say, I always respect Will's opinion. I don't know who says that, but I'm sure there's somebody else.
One day we'll find one.
I'm gonna have the God Hand cult come after me for blood, basically.
So we're gonna start with Will because you picked this game.
Okay.
Will, would you recommend God Hand to somebody?
This is an interesting one. I would say watch the first part of a Let's Play. Watch this two best friends play Let's Play of God Hand. Watch the first segment. If you're into it, play the game, right? Because there's ways to play it, but like it's a situation where it's extremely, you have to be willing to walk in and deal with some trash for a while to get to the good bit. Because there is a good core there, but there's a lot of stuff surrounding it that if you don't have patience for jank, if you don't have patience for sometimes feeling like you're getting cheated a little bit.
Sometimes.
Sometimes.
In
Right? It's not all the
quotation
time.
marks.
But like if I was willing to accept it, I was cool with it. So like if the stuff that we talked about here sounds interesting to you, I would give it a shot. So I guess I would recommend it. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Okay. Ilse, would you recommend this?
99% of the time, probably not. I feel like if there's a masochistic person, if I'm talking to a masochistic person like me, who just has to, like when they start a game, they just almost always have to beat the game, then yeah, maybe I will. Because there's some cool stuff in there. But if it's somebody who's gonna get discouraged, pretty easily, or they have a limited amount of time, or they don't care for campy humor, which I'm not too big of a fan of, but whatever. Then probably not.
Okay. Noah.
I'm leaning more towards yes, I would recommend it, but it does require a lot of patience. Like, after you dig a little, there is a really good game there to play. Like, throughout the whole game, I was, like, having fun and, like, it was getting better. It's got more challenging. Just generally, like, it's so much fun beating up all these guys, landing all those combos. It feels really good.
So you're going to say yes?
Yes.
All right. Sam.
I would, yeah, but with a lot of fucking conditions attached to it. Like,
Yeah.
you
On
need,
Heavy
easy mode.
asterisk.
yeah,
Yeah.
very, very low. Like, you need to be put up with some of like the aged humor in there. Some of the kind of
Some of it is aged, specifically against the level 1 mini boss with
Oh, yeah.
couple of dudes.
yeah.
Yeah.
If you can endure that, you will certainly endure the rest of the game. Also, with the battle system, the fighting, like if you're not into fighting games, I wouldn't recommend you play this one. If you want to get into fighting games, I'd recommend you start on easy, then move up.
Well, not fighting games, but like.
But like the
Like
same
beat 'em
kind of
up.
ideas, like where it's like you
Yeah.
need to learn this shit, you need to learn what would be the best moves to use where, and that's the same principles of that.
Yeah.
Like understanding the system and shit. Like that's what I mean by
Okay.
that. That's like So like, if you meet all those criteria, then go right ahead. If you don't, then don't bother.
Okay, fair. For me, it's a thing that I'll probably say this a million times when it comes to recommendations. Depends on who I'm talking to. But overall generalization, I would probably not recommend this game to somebody. Just anybody. There's definitely a lot of people out there that I would be like, yeah, if I knew what type of games they're into, or if they're interested in Platinum or Clover's history at all, because spoiler alert, they're one of my favorites of all time. But I'm gonna say, like, overall, no. Like, this isn't one game that I would like. Somebody who is into video games that would say, "Hey, Brandon, recommend me a good game to play." This isn't like what would come on my list. Like, if I knew they weren't like super hardcore gamer, they're just looking for. I'm gonna say no.
Yeah, I guess my thought is like if you're this far into the podcast, you've listened to us talk about God Hand this much, then like there probably is an interest there, but like
Sure.
Well, I mean, you might be.
you don't. Yeah, it's not. Don't rush. You don't. There's no like you have to play this type deal, right?
No, yeah.
Unless you listen to every single episode, regardless. Which, if you do, I love you a
We
lot.
respect you.
Yes, I love and respect you. So it's more than Will. He only respects you.
Damn.
Oh, damn.
Stole that from Easy Allies.
So we got two yeses, 2 nos, and a yes with an asterisk.
Yeah, pretty much.
Sounds about fair.
But yeah, I mean, give it if you're interested, definitely give this game give it a shot. It's definitely an interesting game. It's definitely a piece of the gaming history that at least deserves a look. I say, you know, IGN be damned. You're wrong. 3.
No, they're not completely wrong.
Well, I mean,
I refuse to say they're completely wrong.
A 3.
They're wrong at the number. They're not wrong at some of the points.
Well, the number is what everybody gets caught up on.
Well,
so we're gonna say
they're
that.
stupid for doing that.
I mean, the
then.
problem is also the text of the review has a little bit of the issue of like it feels like they kind of didn't beat the game, which is, I mean, like I don't know if they missed out on a lot, but like
Maybe we would have kicked them off the game club.
Yeah.
out
Yeah.
of here.
Yeah.
That's what we're gonna do
No
to
one at
Sap
the
next
game
time he
club has
doesn't beat a game.
That's never happened.
Yeah,
here.
this never happens.
So now, guys, fellas, gentlemen, we need to do what we've been born to do. We need to put this game on the list.
First.
So
Oh, I forgot.
I wasn't waiting for your ass.
Okay, good.
I'll leave you behind.
Good.
So, Will, because you picked this game, you get to decide where you think it goes and give us your first opinion.
Okay.
Have at it, my friend.
So I have no illusions of grandeur about this video game, I think. And I think I would put it at 41, I think is where I would put it. Below East 1 Chronicles, but above
Wow,
Crash
I thought you were going to
Bandicoot.
bring it higher. Jesus Christ.
Well, the thing is, I'm trying to think with what's real, with where we can all sort of get a consensus pick, right? Because if you feel like it should be higher or lower, let me know. But like it's in that space where like, I mean, you know, Nier and Shadow of Memories maybe is also another space I would put it near, because I think it's a game that is flawed but has a lot of elements to it that like I really like, and like is God Hand's a game you won't forget, I think, sort of situation, right? And I think that there's value to that, where like East 1 I liked a lot, but I wouldn't say it's neat insofar as like being an early RPG, but it's not like it's particularly remarkable in any specific way, where God Hand like still have a very unique combat system, still has a unique tone and general vibe to it that I think I would maybe put it above East 1 actually. So
Yeah, I would put it like above Nintendo Land actually, but
Yeah.
like right
I'm cool
above
with that.
Nintendo Land.
I was
I'm
looking
cool with
at
that.
above Dragon Ball.
I was
I'm cool with above Dragon Ball.
Well, I actually was looking at below Mario Tennis Aces.
I was actually looking.
cool with that.
below.
yeah, I'd go that high.
I was actually thinking of putting
Cool with
that
that,
lower.
actually.
I'd never played Nier though, so
You see, the thing is with Dragon Ball Z, I mostly liked the game, but with this game, you know, I felt like 50% of the time I was enraged, and the other 50% of the time I was having fun. And that's not a great, you know, ratio
Yeah.
for a game. You want to have fun at least like 75% of the time, maybe.
I was gonna put it
You know-
below The Simpsons or somewhere around The Simpsons. To be honest with you,
No.
I feel so it's more appropriate for this type of game.
Nah.
Cause like Crash Bandicoot.
No,
That's
because
harsh.
Literally, like I feel like
Nah.
the only problem with that game was the camera,
Well,
but it was
The
still
lock-on
like as
system.
much frustration as
The
it
lock-on
was,
ties
it's
into the
still
that's a core
manageable.
mechanic.
Yeah, but like also
core
like
mechanic is the fighting. That's the core mechanic.
Well, it's
Yeah, but
one of the core mechanics. You need to see what you're fighting.
Well, you can. Well, yeah.
But like Shadow of Memories and Your Replicant are two games that are also like deeply flawed, right? Like I mean, I was have like big problems, right? Like in terms of the gameplay aspect of both of those games, that's where their weakest
But
aspects
then
are.
you
But
Crash Bandicoot.
the things the things that they excel at we say that because they excel at those things, that puts it above a game that just sort of was fun but like didn't do anything particularly big or unique, right? Which is where, you know, East 1 and like Dragon Ball Z and Crash Bandicoot sort of falter.
I feel like Nintendo Land's too high.
Nintendo Land's cool. I mean, it's pretty low on the list, let's be honest, right?
hey,
Like,
you know what? Stick around for another 50 games. We're gonna have another episode.
I'll try my best.
yeah.
I mean, I would disagree because like Crash Bandicoot was still a decent platformer. Like I think it may have aged poorly somewhat, but
It aged pretty poorly.
Yeah.
but
I went back to it and I was like, man, did not go as well as I
Yeah.
remember.
I went back to it when it was re-released on the Crash Bandicoot Insane Trilogy.
Yeah, especially Crash 1. It's just like,
It was a very frustrating game. I did beat it though.
yeah.
So, what's the compromise here?
what is the compromise here?
Where we are.
All right, so let's go around one more time here. Will?
I'd be willing to put it in between Nier and Shadow of Memories.
Well, that's a step up.
Huge step up.
Noah?
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 I'd put it. I think it should go above Nier.
Okay.
Okay. I never played Nier.
Yeah, me neither.
But I think it should go above Shadow of Memories, so I'm going to say underneath Mario Tennis.
Okay.
Ills?
I still say under Dragon Ball Z. I don't see any problems with Dragon Ball Z. I don't know why. I mean, if you saw such issues with Nier and Shadow of Memories, why is it above Dragon Ball Z? Did you have that much of a problem with that game?
I don't know what issues you guys have with Shadow Memories.
Shadow of Memories, it wasn't even a huge issue. It was just like, you know, it was a game that like, it was really unique, but like the actual game playing part of it, I was like, okay with. I wasn't great with, but like it's sort of like Nier, where like the story stuff it was doing was super cool and unique.
Yeah, the story stuff was super cool, but the rest of the game was kind of just walk around.
Yeah. And like for me, the fact that it was doing those cool, unique things is what also puts it above Legacy of Goku, which is a game that I'm just sort of like, oh yeah.
Legacy Goku 2 is actually really fucking cool.
Yeah, it was a good game.
It does have its issues with its combat, kind of, but
Yeah, the combat's not.
but it improved so much over the first game. I mean, I know it's not really compared.
That's also pretty just sort of damning the first game a little bit,
yeah.
but
Well, first game, god damn that game. But I don't know. The combat's really cool. It sticks. It's like one of the most faithful
Adaptions.
iterations to its source. Yeah, adaptions to its source material. It uses like the American soundtrack, which is pretty dope. The graphics are cool. I like the art style.
Yeah, I really do like the art style.
Yeah.
Clearly
You know
no
what?
one's
I think-
seen it, Miami, but I can't really put it above Legacy of Goku 2. I can put it.
Legacy Goku 2 is a sweet
Yeah.
game, but it's like, oh man, but like like God Hand is like oozing with like personality.
yeah.
Enrage.
But it's enrage is the thing. That's the thing. It's the game made me very angry. I had to physically move stuff away from me while I was playing at one point because I felt it. Like I was about to grab a remote and smash that bitch on the table.
Oh
And
yeah.
I was like, I need to move stuff.
Smash that.
Like I physically had to do that. And it's been a long time since a game made me feel that way.
My computer
was
monitor
making
was
me-
about to get very well acquainted with my fist.
It was making me just like the box art with the
Yeah,
fist.
exactly like that.
You were gonna get a
See, they
tribal
knew
tattoo.
all part of their plan. Genius level play.
I don't know. I feel like I'm now rethinking it. I think I'm now convinced it should go below Legacy Goku 2 because I was kind of
But I don't-
overlooking it for some reason. Just kind of going.
I mean, because you get this good feeling when you beat the game because you don't have to play the game anymore.
No, but I mean, but like that's also a sense of accomplishment because the game is hard and like, you feel accomplished when you beat a hard game.
Yeah.
But like, I mean, I don't want to be too harsh on Legacy of Goku 2, but like Legacy of Goku 2 has a situation where like you don't want to discard the Dragon Ball parts of it, right? But like I think if you but like the gameplay part of it is fine. It's fine, right? Like it
action
functions.
RPG.
Yeah, it's a basic action RPG. Like, you know, in many ways, it is not unlike East 1, but it has the Dragon Ball layer on top of it, which puts it above East 1. But I would say, being
It's got more going on than East 1 did because East 1's pretty short and, you know, Dragon Ball has
Dragon Ball Legacy of Goku is pretty
but it
short.
has a bunch of different playable characters and stuff. And
Yeah, and that stuff, there's cool variety to that stuff, but like, in terms of the actual, like, you know, there's not a huge differentiation between the different characters when you're playing. And like,
Well, I mean, they all have different moves, and I mean,
Yeah,
I found
different
myself
moves, but,
using
like-
Piccolo to Sorry, Piccolo.
Piccolo.
I found myself using Piccolo at one point, just because he had that straight shot that, whatever the fuck it's called.
Special beam
cannon.
That thing.
Yeah.
So, I mean...
and we talk a lot about God Hand, but I think that, like, despite the flaws, I'm really high on it in a way that's like, when we talked about Legacy of Goku 2 originally on the list, there was like, all of us sort of had the thing of like, okay, what are the thing, like, what's the parts to it again? Oh yeah, there's that part. Oh yeah, there's that part, right? I think that if we have a God Hand conversation in a re-ranking episode 50 months, 50 years from now, 50 weeks, whatever. But
50 years.
50 years. Boy, oh boy. Like, I think that it will, that like the parts that were good as well as the parts that were bad will stick out in our memories. But I think that like in the same way that like Nier does things that no other game did, and Shadow Memories did things that no other games did, I think God Hand did things that no other games do, and I think that that's worth rewarding.
So here's my thing with that. Whereas like this list,
Plus, it has a more impactful experience than Dragon Ball Z did.
So this list...
I want to hear Seth.
Yeah, so this list is about, like, games that we think would be... Like, we take games from the past and we get games from... And just compare it to how it plays out right now, or with other games on the list. And we compare it on the ideas, like... is this game... does this game hold up? Does this game... like, how well is it as an all-round package compared to other games? Like, that's how I feel as though this list should be, like, adhering to in terms of, like, where we place these games. And God Hand has a lot of shit in there that's just, like, it's not really acceptable in modern day games. And I don't feel as though we can reward it just for this one unique feature.
But you put Nier Replicant above it because you liked Nier Replicant, right? And Nier Replicant, you have to replay that game multiple times, and it's not fun to replay. Right? Like,
No, it is not.
Like, there are times that you were willing to cast aside the issues because, and maybe if the issue is just you didn't think the stuff that it did was...
It's not a situation where it's not fun to play. It's more of a situation where...
You flip-flopping
No, it's
here.
not a situation where it's not fun to play. It's just a situation where it's just fine. Like, it's nothing offensive about it. It's just fine. It's like,
where
it still works to... It's not a detriment to the game itself. It's just, like, it's not that... It's the weakest part.
Are you talking about Nier? Or are you talking about Legacy of Goku?
It is, because if you need to get the full beat it multiple times to get the story, and you don't want to play through the game again because you're kind of bored of it, then yeah, it's kind of detriment to the game, I think.
Yeah, I mean the gameplay part of Nier is the weakest part by a wide margin, right? And so like that's why like I would put it above it while still like being a person that like for a very long, like I mean it's that thing where like I get that Nier is a 6, but I love Nier, right? God Hand is it's a very similar situation, but I think that I enjoy playing God Hand more, partially because it doesn't overstay its welcome, and Legacy of Goku 2 is a game that like I didn't remember a lot of. Like if I was to recommend a Dragon Ball Z game to people, like...
Well, there's been so many Dragon Ball Z.
Well,
there's only been one God Hand game, I mean...
Yeah, and that's the thing. There's been so many Dragon...
That's why he's trying to say.
There's been so many Dragon Ball Z games, there's been one God Hand. I think that's I think that's important.
Yeah, but...
I don't think that's a fair criticism.
Dragon Ball Z Legacy Goku 2, even though Boo's Fury honestly is objectively even better than it, outdid it. But, there's not really any other action RPG Dragon Ball Z game that's like that. There's not another Dragon Ball Z game.
There are RPG
like
elements in Xenoverse.
Also, there's
I get it. I'm messing with you. I'm messing with you. That was a troll.
There's another point I want to make. It's like, do you really want to list a game that half the cast agreed to, or like kind of 2.5 agreed to? It's like, we wouldn't really recommend unless... Well, 2 of them said we wouldn't really recommend. One says, like, they need to meet certain criteria, and even you admit to it, like, you would need to make sure that people are into this game first before you actually recommend it.
Well, I mean, I was thinking...
it was mostly due to the accessibility of the game more so than their actual...
And, like, I mean, in the same way that, like, I made the caveat that, like, if you are a fan of character action games, try God Hand if you are passionate about this thing. If you don't care about Dragon Ball, I would say there's not a lot of reason to play Legacy of Goku 2.
Yeah.
There's a lot of other games you could play first,
It's
right?
still a good game, and you can learn. You can learn about Dragon Ball while playing it. I mean, you don't have to care about it in order to play.
But, like... On the recommendation
You know
level, if he brings up the recommendation point, would I recommend it if you didn't already sort of have an attachment to Dragon Ball? Probably not, because that's, or I would put it low on the list, right? Which is sort of where like the situation with God Hand. in my eyes, right?
Nah.
Like where like if you're a fan of the type of game it is, that being the license or it being the type of game, I would recommend it to people. But I think that I personally just have more of an affinity to character action games than the type of action RPG that Legacy of Goku 2 is. And also I would say that
what I was getting at more of
God
was
Hand.
like just the more of a mass appeal, and I like stripping away from Legacy of Goku, but the fact that it's just Dragon Ball Z is still something that other people would pick up and still enjoy compared to God Hand, where it's like it would need to be it would only be a niche type situation.
Well, I mean, although I do agree with that point, Saf, a lot. I guess the thing that I think of is, sure, we can think, how would other people take these games all day? But at the end of the day, this is our list, which is also canon.
It's also canon to what is the best in the world.
Because we have like Zach and Wiki above.
That's not my fault.
right. So I guess the problem, right, is that like we just sort of factor it. Zach and Wiki, that's a whole nother.
Wiki is a good ass fucking game.
Zach and Wiki is a good game.
But also, I think God Hand's a good game. Like I think that's the situation.
Well,
like I think.
Not really.
It's both good and bad. It's both good and bad for the situation. But like, I don't know. For me, I'll be honest with you. Legacy of Goku 2 is a game that like I played it and I was like, this is fun, and I forgot. I forgot until Saf brought it up 4 months ago. Right? Like that's the problem with my brain. Where like I played God Hand 7 years ago when it got re-released on the PS3, and in that hour stuck in my brain enough for me to want to play it in 2018. And I think that like that's something that elevates it in my mind.
Because you remember it?
That's a fair opinion that you have, because that's your own experience, and I actually, that's good.
But
I mean, I don't disagree that God Hand is more memorable. I don't. But the things I'm going to remember about it are not necessarily good.
But you'll remember them.
I mean, so what?
I'm going to remember Blinks the Cat for the rest of my life. You think it's better
I remember
than
putting a staple in my thumb. Doesn't mean I like it.
But there's the good stuff I remember too, right? Like I remembered I remembered the combat system. I remembered the level
stuff. The bad stuff for me personally, but yeah.
Like, I mean, I get it. I like I said, it's flawed. But I think that for me, like a thing that's trying and reaching to be something cool and ends up being flawed, but still has parts that I enjoy, is what I would put over it. But if this is a losing battle, then just let me know.
Well, it depends. Did anyone change their mind?
Well, it depends on Brandon, because I feel like me and Saf.
Brandon's the flip-flopper this time around.
So I've actually really enjoyed listening to this whole conversation. You have no idea how much I've flip-flopped more than our good friend. Just listening to you guys talk. Because I went, Saf started making the point of, Dragon Ball Z, having the better gameplay over God Hand. Even though God Hand might have been more memorable, and then all of a sudden Will's pulling out, well, that's, you said, the gameplay in Nier was shit, but you said the story was better, kind of, I don't know, he's, oh man, it just kept...
Basically everything he said.
Yeah.
I kept flip-flop, back and forth.
Yeah.
A lot of things. You guys made good points. But at the end of the day, I wanted to smash a controller. Playing that game. And I haven't felt that in a long time, and that's not a good thing that I want to feel while playing a video game.
Feel it. No, feel it.
I gotta say, I love God Hand, but I also fucking hate it.
Yeah.
So I think it should go below Legacy of Goku 2.
To be fair, when Will brought this up, he put this below.
That was what I was gonna say. I'm extremely cool because I'll be honest. My concern was it was going to be below Other M. I was like, I really thought you guys were going to be like, yeah. I was worried because you guys were like very angry in chat about this. I was terrified of what was going to happen.
No, this game is a great game, but it's also fucking bullshit.
I was like, am I going to have to argue against Knack? Please don't make me do that.
I wouldn't do that to Noah after everything.
That's true. All right. So at the end of the day, we came to a consensus of 3-2 at number 39.
Number 39, yeah.
Yes. Mm-hmm. Yep, that's it. Number 39.
It's still a fair spot, I guess.
Yeah, and that's the thing. It's like you look at 39, and we always have to bring this up, guys. Look at the list in the paste bin, and please follow along when we're arguing, because so you can see what we're talking about here. And you will notice This game is full of winners. This whole list, winners, except for like the bottom
10 maybe.
Yeah.
the bottom 5.
Once you get below, yeah.
Even the 10, you got Nintendo
Oh, fair enough, yeah.
in that bottom 10.
Oh, man.
Crash Bandicoot, Simpsons Arcade, IQ, East. Those are some pretty good fucking solid games. So I would say the bottom 5, that's the only part where the stinkers lie. The rest, got some good company there. So
Damn.
with that being said, we got number 37, Shadow of Memories, also a Game Club game. Go listen to that. Me and Noah, only people on that episode. Good
Intimate.
little conversation piece. Little dinner date.
Little interview with Noah.
Number 38, Dragon Ball Z Legacy of Goku 2. Bruce Faulkner hitting his best notes on that game. It's a beautiful soundtrack. Number 39, God Hand. What more can we say about this game other than it's great, you should look at it, but also fuck this game. Number 40, we got Nintendo Land. That's a game. And number 41, East Chronicles. That's also a Game Club game, which when we were talking about that, I was like, dude, East was a pretty fucking cool game. I almost forgot about that game, but now that I'm thinking about it again, that was a pretty fucking sweet game. So I love the Game Club. I really do. I've been playing games that I've always wanted to play or would have never played, and I just gotta say, I'm glad we do this. I really am.
East 1 got me to play East 8, so now I just have to do everything.
Well,
Right. You got a long way to go, buddy.
Yeah.
That's the thing. And I was talking about Noah today about the Game Club, and I'm like, man, like my favorite thing about it is that, there's so many games that I want to play that I always say, I want to play that someday. I want to play that someday. A year later, I want to play that someday. 4 or 5 years later, I want to play that game. I never fucking actually get around to playing it. So like, this gives me the reason and excuse to finally do it. And
it definitely gives you a lot more motivation.
It does, and I'm very thankful for that. I'm playing games
me too.
that I never probably would have got around to playing. I would have kept just playing the new releases, and my backlog would have just kept getting worse and worse and worse. So thank you guys for doing the Game Club with me. I just want to say, don't forget to follow us on all sorts of social media platforms. If you enjoyed the Jump Up Supercast Game Club, follow us on Facebook.com/JumpUpSupercast Game Club. Give us a like, give us a follow, give us a share, give us some love. We're always going to post new episodes there, as well as Twitter.com/JumpUpSupercast. We're always there posting new episodes when they go live. Our weekly episodes will be there too. And also when we go live on Twitch, twitch.tv/JumpUpSupercast. And we're on Instagram. I'm going to be posting our Game Club games, giving you a little sneak peek. You would have known we were playing God Hand before we actually announced it, so that's always fun. So, keep up on my video game collection. I post a little bit here and there. Maybe somebody else will post. Who knows? Maybe if I give them the password.
If I ever get the login, then we have a chance.
I gave it to somebody at one point. But yeah, follow us on social media. Make sure you do that if you like this episode, and share and like and do all that stuff, because we love you guys and thank you for listening. But before we go, we have to talk about what the next episode of the Game Club is going to be. And oh boy, our newest member,
What's up?
Ills, who's he's not new anymore because he's been on 2 episodes now.
Yeah.
He was also on Rankomania, so check that out. That was fun.
Yes.
You might look at the paste bin and go, "What the fuck?" Well, Rankomania happened, and that was a blast. So make sure you check that out too. But Ills,
Yes, sir.
it's your turn, buddy. We're throwing the ball in your court. You get to pick the next game.
Well,
What do you got for us?
I kept this one close to the vest, even with added pressure from Brandon for me to tell him what the game was going to be beforehand.
I tried.
But in honor of Castlevania finally making its way to Smash Brothers, which is something I'm hugely excited about, I decided we needed to go back into the Konami vault for a game that it holds a dear place in my heart, but I never got a chance to beat it, and that's Castlevania Bloodlines on the Sega Genesis.
Oh,
Yes!
Bloodlines.
Ooh, nice.
Yeah, this was like
Thank you for this pick, Ills. I've been dying to play this
this was like
one.
the dark horse of Castlevania games for me. And
Yeah.
I mean, I really wanted to beat it for so long. I had the cartridge. So I mean, yeah, I got to go back in time to kill this one.
Damn.
Nice.
Kill your
All right,
demons.
Yes.
I like the
Yes.
theme. I always appreciate that.
For sure.
For a second, I thought you were going to play with Noah's Heart and say, in honor of Castlevania, we're going to do Castlevania 64.
Oh, I definitely thought of that. Don't think I didn't think of that. That's on the list.
Oh, no.
That's coming up. Both the 64 Castlevanias.
Oh,
cry.
baby.
I will beat that game, but I will cry every last fucking second.
I knew you had a hard time. I mean, we all had a hard time with God Hand, so I didn't want to pick something super hard or super annoying this time around. So, that's my little concession.
We appreciate it.
Anytime.
Oh man, so that was it for the game club. I can't make sure you view in next week to hear us talk about Castlevania Bloodlines on the Sega Genesis or the Mega Drive if you're a weirdo. But thank you guys for joining us. I just want to thank Will, Saf, Noah, Ills.
Yep.
You guys, appreciate you every time. And everybody listening, I appreciate you guys even more. Don't tell the rest of these guys. So thank you. Go play some video games. Have a great day.